Hey everyone, so in this video I'm just going to go over another turn 1 attack team. Now this is a pretty basic one that a lot of players in the game have been using for a while because Arav and Princess have been available for quite a bit of time. Now you could just do this with any two yellow toons or any two blue toons that you see fit who can actually fit this model. But the key to this is running a very specific team that has different AP weapons, and of course, you need Dr. Stevens. At this time, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more content and information. So this specific team has Blue Carl as a leader, Nick as support and as a commander, Dr. Stevens, Princess, and Arav. So Blue Carl is used as a lead in this case. His leadership skill, so all tough and fast teammates get plus 40% attack, and a huge bonus to AP when attacking. The key points to this toon is honestly the plus 40% attack. So if it wasn't to tough and fast teammates, if it was just to fast teammates, then you would probably run like double Arav, for example. Or if it was just to tough toons, then double Princess or double Priya. There's just a lot of different options that you could use here, and it's all based on kind of what toon you have as a leader toon. We don't really care much for the huge bonus to AP when attacking, only because we don't actually need it. All of our toons gain their AP naturally. So with Carl's weapon, I decided to go with a defense down, so when attacking, a better chance to cause minus 30% defense for 3 turns to the enemy. So if I attacked with Carl first, I could apply this debuff to the enemy, which will help my other toons that are rushing on the first turn. I also have Team Player 4 on this weapon, which gives that plus 15% attack to all toons including himself, and plus 35 crit chance. Now, I did suggest this, I think, in another post, but everyone got that Ayoko's weapon as a 5-star weapon that just has no upgrades on it. An easy upgrade to it is just adding Team Player to it, and that way you can just slap it right onto Carl, for example. The next toon on this team is again a yellow placeholder commander. I'm using Nick here, but you could use Nick, you could use Maggie, you could even use like 3-star yellow Rosita. There's Green Rick, who has an 8% weapon. You just have a lot of different opportunities on this team. He's holding an 8% AP weapon, and for this team to function, you need 2 8% AP weapons, Dr. Stevens, a commander, and then your toons that you want to rush have to hold 20% AP weapons to self. And the only 2 types of toons that can hold those weapons are yellow and blue toons. Blue toons, you can actually craft the weapon, but with fast toons, you can only get it from the 4-star weapon wheel or from that last Kendama map that we had, I think 2 maps ago, where you could get the, I think it's called a Wakizashi, but point is, it's a 20% AP weapon to self. Now, of course, here's Dr. Stevens. We need his active skill, we need a command to activate his rush when he uses his active skill, and this gives 60% AP to 2 other toons. And because our toons that we want to rush have 20% AP weapons to self, they will definitely have the most amount of AP. And because of how conventional AP gains work, you can manipulate it to ensure that your 2 heavy damage dealers always get the AP. So I did switch off to make sure that Dr. Stevens had an 8% AP weapon because, as I mentioned, this team needs 2 8% AP weapons. So you either need to craft 8% AP on Dr. Stevens' weapon or do a weapon swap. And of course, adding Team Player to this ability helps, but in this case, because Dr. Stevens is in line with Nick, it means the Team Player ability will not affect Princess or Arav. Ideally, Princess and Arav would both have Team Player themselves because they're in a line with each other. We're using Princess here as a damage dealer, mainly because her rush is just so powerful. She deals 1,000% damage to a line of enemies. She has 16,000 attack points, so this is her as a completely maxed out S-Class. The mod set is not perfect, but it is pretty good. There's Team Player weapons, I think, both on her as well as on Arav, and of course, the Team Player weapon on Carl also gives her a boost in her attack, because Team Player acts as a leadership skill to those toons that are either holding it or are adjacent to the holder. Now, as I mentioned, her mods, they're not perfect. We have 1 platinum mod here, and it's Attack First Alert, which, isn't as valuable in the current meta. Well, it could be actually, because now with a traitor on defense, this type of mod will definitely come in handy. but with mostly blue and yellow tunes still on defense, attack versus tough and attack versus fast I find are more useful, but time will tell. Like I personally, on my main account, I will probably switch over to an attack versus alert mod on my princess myself because she's going to be the tune that I'm relying upon damage to kill the traitor. You can see here that we actually need to weapon swap Princess's weapon because as I mentioned, we need a 20% AP weapon to self, so we do have one that's quite good that also gives plus 20% attack for the first 2 turns, so that will also factor into her attack, and raising her attack of course will be more beneficial for taking out the enemy in one swift attack. Now this won't always work because there are some very tanky defenses, but for some of the more fragile ones I'll say, or ones that run a fast rushing defense team or have a glass cannon defensive team that tries to kill your team before you're able to kill them, that's where these turn 1 attack teams are definitely of value. They are tricky to run because obviously you need specific weapons and they're very conditional. It can be difficult, especially if you come across a tanky defense and you're losing out on a bit just because you have no attack up or attack down debuff on the enemy. You're relying upon a lot of RNG because if you come across a team that dazes Dr. Stevens, or your team's stunned to start, or they're confused to start, it can be very difficult and trying. Now I am using a Rav on this team. He has 16,200 attack and can deal 750% damage to a line of enemies while also regaining 100% AP, meaning that once he starts to rush, he doesn't really stop. With his specialist skill follow up, so once per turn when he's able to perform a kill, either on an adrenaline rush or a basic attack, he gets another chance to attack. Now this could be an active skill, a basic attack, or obviously the rush. So you can actually get Arav to rush 3 times in a single turn because he gets his follow-up ability on a kill, and you can also command rush him. So his mod set isn't the best. It's kind of just a filler in just to showcase how he functions. I do have an exhaust resist on him because of angels. Obviously with him gaining 100% AP, he is very easy to exhaust since exhaust functions where for every 10% AP gained, you lose a flat amount of maim damage. So in Angel's case, that's 500 per 10%. So with the total amount of AP that Arav gains, that would be 5,000 maim damage. So you can resist that either with an exhaust mod or with a maim resist mod. And as you see with his weapon, I don't need any AP on his weapon, so I went for straight attack. I left a 20% AP and I added team player. So when we end up running this attack team against a peak defense team, kind of a standard one, we can truly see it in action and see how effective it can be. By rushing a Rav on the blue tunes, of course, we're getting some major kills. We can rush him again on the other line of tunes and then a follow-up attack with Princess, and the match is over against a fairly tanky team and is kind of like an average team that you see in your region, I would say. In this attack, I just wanted to showcase what a Aaron lead would look like. So Frosts are pretty tanky, and as you see, we weren't able to take either of them out because of the buff that they were getting. This probably would have made more sense for me to rush down the same line I was at before with the Frost, because I would have got the kill there, and then I could have used Princess's Rush on the other line along with Arav on the next turn. But it's kind of just hindsight, and hindsight is everything, isn't it? I was still able to do a significant amount of damage to the enemy and basically cripple them, but it's still taking more turns than the single turn as to what I planned. So as you see, sometimes it can be like really effective where the enemy's dead on the first turn, and sometimes you need to take those extra turns to clean up. And it's all based on what the defense runs, of course. When I sub in a Harrison lead instead, because Harrison has the same leadership skill as Carl, you can see that it's just as effective. We're getting similar results here, and it's just about learning how to adjust as the game goes along. So even if you don't have Carl, if you don't have Harrison, there are still other options for you, including Zoo. So Zoo is a character that no one really likes. I believe with his leadership skill, he only gives plus 30% attack to fast and tough tunes, so he's not as effective as Harrison or Carl, but he does give a huge bonus to AP when attacking to the blue and yellow tunes, so even if you don't get that first turn kill, you still have that ability to get the kill on the second turn potentially, because you can still attack and gain some AP, like in Princess's case. So there's just some options there, and I find he's a pretty underrated toon just because of, well, how weak he really was when he came out. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching and listening to my video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and you got to see another turn 1 attack team.